welcome back and glad to know that you are part of the program today. And in case you're just joining us, this is Across Borders, where we look into topical migration related issues. And like I said before we went on that short break, our guest is Joke Oyadairo, a digital educator and early childhood specialist. Good morning, Joke, and it's so awesome having you on the show this morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, Grace.
Ah, so pretty.
Mm.
So the last time I saw you, Joke, I think that was a long Shogbo Ederod, if I'm not mistaken. That's pretty more than
Yeah,
15 years ago, right?
long time ago. Yeah,
It's good
that's
to
quite a
have
long
you.
time ago.
Yes.
Thank
Okay, so let's just get into the matter. Let's get into this program. We want to talk about you, and we'd like you to take us through your journey. Take us through your journey, how your traveling experience was like, if it was a positive move, if it's, I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly. We just want you to take us through that journey, how smooth it was or not.
thank you, Grace. Okay, so the journey of relocation or migration from Nigeria to I currently live in the UK. Now, first, before I decided to travel, I looked at the course I wanted to study. So it wasn't just about really relocating. It wasn't just about migrating to another country, but of course, migrating with the purpose. You're not going there as a purposeless person. You're going there because there's a purpose, the reason you're living. So I looked at my course of study and then I still went for the same course, the same field, early childhood. But when I got into UK, it was a very different experience entirely. It wasn't what I was. When I say most of us didn't really prepare, we just know we're going there to study. We are going to the abroad. And so when I got into the UK, of course, there's an aspect of you that needs to study. You need to take care of the family and the children. So for me, it first was the purpose, and then it was the front line, the family, the family front line. So when I got into the UK, back in Nigeria, you have a support system, and getting to the UK, the reality just stares at you, and you're looking like, okay, so you can't get it. You can't get a support system here. There is no grandma to support. There is no nanny to support. So you have to do all of that by yourself. You're caring for the children. You're schooling, and then you're trying to survive as a family. So I wouldn't say it was a smooth one. Then another aspect of it is, it's just like uprooting a flourishing tree. You uproot a flourishing tree, and then you take that tree to another land and then to another soil. You want to plant it there. Obviously, that plant will die first, goes into the soil, and then we have to start connecting the nutrients, connecting what's. I think that's just the way it is. So moving to a different country, you're uprooted. You don't know, there is no life yet, so you need to give yourself time. And like I said, support system was 0%. So you have to create your own support system yourself. And the education system, of course, is quite different in Nigeria. A child can begin schooling as young as 3 months, 5 months. With, of course, you can afford the fee to an extent. Here,
Okay.
you know so yeah, so it was, I wouldn't say it was a smooth one. The
Okay.
normal education system, which we call the public school in Nigeria. In the UK, your 3-year-old has to go to school just for 3 hours a day.
Mm, I see. Okay, so we'll come to that. I think we'll have I have a question around that you're going to be speaking to. So you practically have taken part of my second question, but I'm still going to take it. I'm still going to take it. So you have already mentioned that when you are going, you're going with a different mindset. We have seen a lot of people jump on, any available school program just as an escape, from Nigeria. They want to travel, so anything works. You understand now. And at some point, they got stuck or they change paths. They try so many other things. Haven't gone through your profile, like you have mentioned as well. You moved abroad to study early childhood education. So was your migration a mapped out career plan, or did your experience gradually lead you into digital teaching? I understand you have mentioned that you actually went to study what you've been doing way back in Nigeria, but what you now do, you have moved to taking, doing digital teaching. was it the experience now that made you to stay to push to this aspect, or I mean, it's something you've had in mind before now?
Okay, so I would say that, so when I completed my master's, because that of course there's an issue of you have to sort out your papers to stay in the country. So there's something called the sponsorship visa. So the career you're seeing Joke do now, someone has sacrificed, which is my partner, my husband sacrificed for me to do this, because it's either you're choosing whatever career path you want to choose has something that works for the family, and it has to be something that would give you, the permission to stay in the country. So after my husband sorted that out for us. So after my master's, and we just look at what's next. And immediately I finished, I think I got a job as a nursery manager in Manchester. It was a good offer. Yes, okay, let's go for it. So I went for that. So I did that for a year, 18 months. But at some point, because the way UK system is structured, there's a need for me to also consider the family. So it wasn't working quite well. But back in Nigeria, in 2020 during the COVID period, so I set up my school and then an online, tuition center, which by the time I got into UK, I stopped because I needed to find my feet. And so while I was working as a nursery manager, I needed flexibility. I needed time, but I still want to teach. So I had to take a break for a while before going back into the education system. So while I took a break, of course, with the help of God, you can't do anything outside, whatever you believe in. So for that, I thought of, okay, so why not go back? So when I took a pause, a lot of my friends knew, okay, she's into education, because back in school, they called me, oh, pedagogy, I love what I do. So, and it reflected while studying. So and they were, okay, can you teach my child? Can you just give me just 1 hour, just so from there, I had like 3, 4, 5 children. I just said, no, I can't do this. We have to go online. And that was the same thing that happened during COVID in Nigeria. A lot of my friends brought their children over and I couldn't manage, so I had to go online. So that was what led to, let's just go online,
Okay, and that's it.
and that's how the whole thing started. But
All
I
right.
still teach in the UK, yeah.
Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We got that. So I'm just going to ask you now, this is what you do. How viable is it to build a global career in education today? How viable?
Mm, Well, I would say, mm, would I say easy? Would I say it took a while? I think the first thing is trust. People need to trust what you have. As much as I've got friends who believe in me, who knows that, oh, this is what Joke does, there's an aspect of you that needs to work hard for you to get it. You need to earn it. And of course, as much as people say that, oh, there is no racism, there's an aspect of you that needs to, that the public needs to buy into. So you're not, if I'm selling to a black community, I'm still not there yet. But at the point where I started having the Asians calling me that they want their children to go my online, then I told myself, okay, I think okay, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. So for me, it was more of what can you offer. People need to be able to trust your brand. They need to be able to trust they should be able to evaluate what their children are learning, and it should be obvious. So at that point, I was just doing my thing. I love what I do. It wasn't a struggle at all. So I didn't struggle, you know, setting up. I didn't struggle teaching my children, because if you know the how, it's going to be pretty easy for you to navigate. But like I said, people you need to earn that respect. You need to earn people's trust. So, so when I started, a few people I had to work at to show that this is what I can do. And from there, and my business is more of referrals. It was more of referrals. So education basically is more of referrals. So by the time people 1 or 2, the first 3 months, and then I began to get referrals from friends, referrals from parents, and rest is history.
Okay, so thank you. If you ask me, I would say that passion has also added to what has helped you to push forward. So I think it's very key that whatever it is one wants to do, be passionate about it, put all of the energy. You do mind the challenges, and at some point, it's just going to come and stand in strong. So I want to ask you, we really need to look into digital education now or digital teaching. And I want to say that what are those gaps? And either gaps or opportunities, whichever way you think which one is related, that you are aware of, in the digital teaching, especially when taken as a major career path. What are the challenges or the gaps, the opportunities that are there?
Okay, so first, I would say that if you haven't had years of experience in the classroom, digital education or digital teaching is going to be extremely challenging for you. Because for someone who's been in the classroom, you can tell different, you have an idea of different children with their different learning needs, with their strength. So if you're seeing such children online, you already know how to assess them, you know how to evaluate them, you understand the system. So first, you need to have quite a number of years in the physical classroom. Now, when it comes to challenges, I would say that um, supporting children with maybe a bit of need. So when children come online, because it's not a physical classroom, when children come online, you're expecting that if you do, if I say A, B, C, D, E, F, now ideally the child is expected, because it's online, so you expect the child to get just A and B. So if the child is not getting it at all, then I think basically the learning time has to be more learning time, more teaching time, more of you have to explore different online apps for children to learn. So you're not, it's not the physical classroom where you do the teaching, you do the talking, you have resources right there in front of the children. So you explore resources such as games, because in this age and time, this is a different ways children learn. So game is one of the fast growing ways that children learn. So why you can't keep talking online, so you have to look for different techniques, different products, different apps that can help your children. So for me, I think one of the challenges is looking at different children and looking at, what digital tool that can support each child. So if online you have a group of 5 children and then you're giving two, you're sending the link to game for 2 children to play a game, and then for 2 children you're giving them online worksheets, and then they're all learning. It's same. You're giving all of them same learning objective, and you're achieving different things, but with different strategies.
Hmm.
So, like I said, it depends on how versed you are in
Okay.
digital world. So that would help you to navigate.
Okay. So talking about strategy and talking about how versed you are, in digital education. So I want you to talk to us about Nigerians. Now you are in the UK. I want to believe you relate from your experience. Do Nigerian educators bring something unique into digital classrooms? And I want to ask, you've talked a bit of it, but again, I'm going to ask that how do students globally respond to that? What's that unique thing? I'm not generalizing. I'm talking about Nigerian educators. What is that unique thing they bring to this platform? And how do you think students respond?
Okay, first, I'd like to say that like we have great Nigerian teachers. That's I must tell you. Nigerian teachers are great. We have great, amazing, intelligent Nigerian teachers. Now, on my online platform, I have a lot of Nigerian teachers that work with me, and they've taught me loads of things, even though I'm in diaspora. So the truth is, I would say that I think it's more of an individual. How much of personal development have you done as a teacher, as a Nigerian teacher? It depends on the school, it depends on the curriculum, it depends on your placement. For a teacher that works in a core British school, such teachers will operate different. I'm talking about Nigerian, I'm not talking about UK. So for a teacher who works in an 100% UK, 100% British curriculum school, now the way such teacher, yet in Nigeria though, the way such teacher will operate will be quite different from, okay, so a teacher who, for someone who teaches in, will I say a grade C school? So we have the grade A's, we have the grade B's, we have the grade C. So when you say the grade A, you're talking about the big schools. I won't call names, the big schools, the schools of the elite children. I'm sure you have an idea of what I'm talking
I
about.
do. I
So
understand.
we have teachers who teach in the grade B schools and then the grade C schools. So it depends on your personal development, your placement, where you have placed yourself in terms of where you work, where you teach. All of this would shape, you know, you as a person or as a teacher and what you can offer to the children. Now, when it comes to, I think the other part of the question is how are children
They
able
respond.
to
Yes.
respond?
Yes.
So children will respond based on what you have given to them. And like I said, I'm trying not to call school. I'm trying not to grade any school in Nigeria. I'm trying really hard. So for children who are in the grade A school, say a school in Lekki or a school in Ikoyi, and so how such children will respond to what you have offered will be quite different from the resources available to a teacher who is in, say I'm from Oyo State, so I will say Oyo State. Let me put it out because I don't want to tag. So I think geographical location, the placement of the school, the personal development. So whatever you give to the children, they would definitely respond to it. Now, there's a family front as well because education is, I wouldn't say it's one-sided. We have stakeholders, the parents are there, the government's there, the school is there, the child, the environment. So the environments where the child sees itself would determine how a child will respond. A child who has accessibility to digital gadgets will explore education in a different perspective, in a different way compared to a child who's not exposed to digital gadgets or devices. So all of this would affect the way a child would learn. Okay, in this world, you can tell a child, if a child is asking you, okay, so mommy, your child is asking a teacher, so what's the meaning of, say, how does photosynthesis work? Before you say Jack, the child has gone online.
Okay.
Children know what AI is. So that's what I'm saying, that the
Okay.
child will respond based on the environment,
Okay.
based on the school, based on what they see around them. But I think the school play a key role in how children will respond to learning or different learning.
Okay. All right. So you actually mentioned parents while you were talking about how children respond, what they see, and all of that put together. So
Yeah.
I want us to talk about culture and learning habits. Maybe we're going to make this, it's a bit similar to what you've mentioned, but culture at this point. What principles would you say should guide teachers, online teaching, especially in the classroom when you want to look at culture, expectations, and learning habits? It differs. I agree with you, but what principles should guide them when you are looking at culture, when you are looking at expectations and the learning habits of the children?
Okay, as a parent or as a teacher?
Both.
So
You
I
are a
would
parent and you are
say,
a teacher, so let's let's bring this together.
so I think I would start as a teacher. Okay, so as a teacher, I wouldn't say probably as a teacher in Nigeria or as a teacher in the UK, but I would say that a teacher in the classroom can tell a child that has a good a teacher in class you can tell a child that is supported at home, and you can tell a child that is not being supported at home. You can tell a child who is from a family oriented home, and you can tell a child who's not getting that family vibe, the family feeling, the home front. You can tell. You can tell from how they deal with their schoolwork. You can tell how they contribute to classroom conversation. You can tell how they take seriously their education. You can tell how they relate to their friends in school. So it's either the home front, the culture, what kind of culture the parents believe in, what kind of culture the school, what's the school culture? What does the school culture teaches the child? Does it teach the child to be resilient? Does the home front teach the child to be resilient? As a family or as a mother or as a family person would say that from the home front, a stable home, you can tell when a child is from a stable home. The child is a happy child. The child comes to school and tell you what happens at home. When the child is at home, when the child is at home, the child is happy to tell the parents what happens in school, if the parents are available to listen. So in cultural aspects, and then in home front, you can tell a parent who has supported a child morally, academically, they're saying whether or not the school is supporting. In the UK, the teacher can only do, say, maybe 30%. And that's the truth. You're in a classroom of 28 children. A teacher is not used to having 28 children. The Japa syndrome has come. We have a lot of children in the classroom. The teacher is not able to reach the 28 children. How much of support is that child getting at home? You can tell, even in the UK system, in school, in the UK school, you can tell a black child that is being supported at home. The home front, I as a mom, I'm not saying I'm not leaving the entire job to the school. And I'm saying, oh, can I have the curriculum? Can I have, what's my child doing this week? And then you're going back home, you're supporting your child. You're giving that child a culture of, we need to work hard. We can't bend rules. We have to do it the right way. You have to, if you don't know geometry, you have to know it. This is what you have to do, my child. So I am supporting my child. The school is supporting the child. The environment is supporting the child. So, but in all, you can tell a child that is supported at home, and you can tell a child that is supported in school as well.
Okay. All right. So in the course of your conversation, you talked about the UK schools, the Nigerian schools. You didn't really want to, kind of categorize them, but hey, that's where we are now.
I just
So we want to look at that global education environment, and I want to ask you have taught in global learning spaces. What major differences have you observed between Nigerian education system and those of other countries?
Okay, thank you so much. That was like 90% of my dissertation while I was in school. So I'm happy to discuss this.
Okay,
So
great.
yeah, what I would say is the culture will play a major role when it comes to comparison of education system. Now, there are no right or wrong curriculum. There are no right or wrong education system. I can tell you that for fact, 100%, because we can't place the UK education system side by side with Nigeria. There are a lot of factors that affect education. Number one is the economy. What is available here to the children is not available to to a common Nigerian child. And I would say that I wouldn't compare the education system. So I would start with Nigerian education. I would boldly say that um, a typical school in the UK is the public school in Nigeria, but with lots of opportunities for children with the support of their parents. So going back to Nigeria, for an average Nigerian would say, oh, my child will not go to a state school or a public school. Everybody wants to get their child to a private school. But in the UK, that public school is what the majority of the immigrants attend. So the education system is way different, and the curriculum is way different. So in Nigeria, so if language is one aspect. So if there are schools, there are aspects of or some aspects of Nigeria that would still explain. Okay, so during my youth service in Nigeria, at some point I had to teach with Yoruba so that the children can understand my concept. Even though I think I said in Ikoyi, and I worked in a secondary school in Ikoyi, but I had to break down my teaching. I had to speak another language so that the child can understand my concept. So the education system is way different, and I think it's cultural based. So while I was in my dissertation and I looked at the early years curriculum in Nigeria, I looked at the early years curriculum in the UK. So it's way different because there are loads of cultural heritage in Nigeria that we're supposed to bring in, and it's not there. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, the EYFS curriculum or the British curriculum is better, and I would say 100% no. The curriculum is coming from a different culture, different economy, different background, different beliefs. So I would embrace different curriculum with a different culture. Now, one thing I would say about the British curriculum is it teaches independence. A British curriculum would teach a child how to navigate learning individually. A British curriculum would teach a child how to solve problems. So if they are teaching you, so when you look at their curriculum, it's progressive. They are not going to teach you division without teaching you multiplication. They aren't going to teach you fraction without you learning multiplication and division. So it's progressive, and they teach you how to be independent. So you take ownership of your learning. So this is A, B, C, E, F. You go ahead and do it because they have loads of strategies and resources that can make you learn on your own. So coming back to Nigerian education system, so we have the textbooks. Even though, yeah, they provide these textbooks, but is it available? How many of these children that even they have access to this textbook, let alone the devices that can support their learning? Children are children, and 90% of their learning is visual, even though we have different learning style for children. So if it's visual, how many of these visual resources and strategies are available to a Nigerian child? So the curriculum in Nigeria would work for a Nigerian child. So that's sometimes I hear. Uh, so while I was in my dissertation, I was after going through and comparing the two curriculum, and then I began to think that why not they bring the local pot, the cocoa. A child in Lagos will probably not know what cocoa means in Yoruba. Would not know what cocoa means. Would not. Why not bring the old lanterns of several years ago? If a British curriculum is saying they are looking at vehicles of maybe say 30 years ago, they're looking at the evolution of devices, they're looking at evolution of vehicles. We can do that, we can bring that into the classroom. So that's what, so if they are saying that, oh, there is no right or wrong curriculum, but for a Nigerian child, the curriculum is tailored to our culture, is tailored to our environment. Whether or not it's working, we are all product of it. But I have always mentioned, oh, for a child who works with a British curriculum, this is what the curriculum would help the child to do. For a Nigerian child, and I know most adults that are listening will say, oh, we crammed when we're growing up. We crammed our maths, we crammed our English, we even crammed further maths. So that was what was available. And our teachers tried. They only gave us what they were able to offer. But you can't compare your learning, then I'm sure, Grace, you can't compare your learning, your secondary school learning over 20 years ago to what is available in schools today.
I agree with
So
you.
I think they are just two different curriculums.
Okay, I agree with you. The evolvement is everywhere, the change is everywhere. So while the world is changing, Nigeria as well is changing, and a lot of things are really changing. So we'll be taking a break shortly, but I just need to speak to this briefly. So I like the fact that you are not pushing one aside and taking the other up. So it's a good thing to know that we are all products of what we have, and it worked for us. If it didn't work at all, probably we wouldn't be here. You understand? So
Yeah.
I like that part, and I think I need to also speak a bit about bringing back history. Probably with history, those things you mentioned, you will have all of those little of all of that begin to come out, in history, and you get to have the younger ones, the children, learn all of these things. And if we can do that, because I think with the information I have, in a bit, we don't have so much of history in school curriculum. You understand? Away from the early child schooling, talking about like secondary school and all of that. So except you are going to study history as a course. So if we can push all of that, it will help us more. So we don't forget where we are coming from, and everybody's looking at the outer world. we want to go to the UK, we want to learn from UK, we want to get to the US, we want to learn from the US and all of that. I think we need to do better. How has your life abroad and online teaching shaped your identity? I think it's important to talk about identity, where you feel you belong and your connection to home.
Thank you. So I would say that first, um, before I got into the UK, I think the challenge is, I would say that is, well, I said there's a bit of identity issue. So yeah, where you feel like, oh, the abroad is better. Where you feel, oh, if an idea from a foreign country is way better than what you've got to offer. That's typical of, so what that's what I used to believe. And then when I got into the UK, so there's this still the same issue of identity, thinking that, oh, what they have is better than what you have at home, or they are better than you. And the truth is they are not in any way. I think the first thing is an identity issue. And I think most of us have rubbed that off on our children. Identity in the sense that what you have is great. What you have is good. Your country, your culture, your language, your skin tone, your race is great. This is who you are. So I think that is one thing that was a major issue when we look, or a major issue for immigrants. So getting here, uh, thinking that your ideas are not valid, thinking that, oh, if I come up with this, will it fly? And then I had to sit down and I had to think about what was the major thing that brought you into the UK, which was, that's my major purpose. I just want to support children to be confident learners. When a child is confident, that child can fly. That child is not intimidated. That child is not timid. That child can explore the world. So I had to bring back the child in me. And then I had to tell my child, my race is great. I'm from a fantastic country. My heritage is great. I have a lot to offer. And then I began to fly.
Mm. Okay.
And I didn't see issue thinking,
Please go ahead. I'm with you.
okay, so I didn't see issue because you feel other country or where you are is better than where you are coming from. So I don't think it is. It's just a matter of different geographical location and different situations that they are dealing with. So the crisis they are facing in the UK is way different from what we have, what the challenges we have in Nigeria. So how was I able to navigate, or how am I still supporting myself to navigate all of this? Now, is the issue is we are all born with a purpose. So, and like I always tell myself, so right here in the UK, I read a book. The book says, that heed to that inner music. No one hears it more than you do. So even in a strange land, you still got to fulfill your purpose as a person. So for me, I had to get up and tell myself that you're here on a mission and this is your purpose. So and then I began to navigate my way through life and telling myself that purpose is key and my identity is fantastic. I'm a Nigerian and this is what I've got to offer you. So while I was working as a nursery manager in Manchester, there were a lot of white colleagues, white parents, the Asians, and sometimes you feel, oh, if I say this, would it fly? And then it will get to a point where you have to face the reality, or you have to face parents, and you're telling them you're standing your ground. You know what it means to stand your ground as as a black person, and you're telling somebody it is wrong. So a lot of people, you'll be able to say that because if you haven't sort out your identity issue, you may not be able to stand up for yourself, stand up for what you truly believe, stand up for what is right.
Hmm.
So that was the pivot, that was the paradigm shift for me, where I had to stand for what is right. And then I began to see things the way they truly are, be able to tell people this is yes and this is no. And why is it yes? Why is it no? Nobody, there are no wrong or right answer, but this is what I believe. This is what I feel is right. So, and until then, For every immigrant, you continue to have identity crisis until you are able to embrace your personality, embrace where you're from, embrace who you are.
Okay.
So that, yeah.
Okay, I want to ask, do you think this has to do with timidity, like people feeling timid or low self-esteem? Does it have to do with low self-esteem in any way?
So I would say that first, I think childhood has a major, not because I'm an early childhood, expert, but I would say that childhood plays a major role, and environment plays a major role. And a child who hasn't gone abroad, will feel everything in the abroad is better. A child who has an uncle who comes back and then gives great, and people, a child who has had narratives of the other country or this country is way better than this country. So if that child is coming into the UK, that child is believing that. So in the UK, if they are selling a concept to that child, they are selling an idea to you, because that child has an identity but hasn't really believed in that identity. And that's why a black child will tell you, so they asked us to talk about festivals. Imagine there's an aspect of the curriculum where children will talk about festivals in the UK. And some children can't even talk about festivals in Nigeria, where they're from. And then they're asking you, okay, so can you tell us about the festivals in Nigeria? Tell us about the festivals in Ghana. Tell us about the festival in Zimbabwe. Tell us about the festival in Pakistan. And then the child is looking. It's all childhood. It's all how we've been fed. If you're say in Nigeria, if a Nigerian child, myself as an adult, if I'm happy to talk about my Christmas in Nigeria without the Santa Claus, and I'm telling you how we used to use the Christmas lights and we have fun, how we use the so-called, we call it banga in Nigeria, right? So how we are happy,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, this is festival, this is our identity, this is who we are, this is our childhood. So if someone does not come to the knowledge that this is my childhood, this is my upbringing, you can't pass it on to your children. And your child gets to school, the child is not able to say, these are the festivals in Nigeria.
Okay.
And we are happy
Okay.
to celebrate it. Yeah.
Okay. So because of our time, I think I'm just going to take one more question, and I don't mind if you do that in 1-2 minutes before you take a final note. Data actually shows a significant and growing influence of Nigerian educators and entrepreneurs in ed tech. So both in Africa and globally, saying that Africans are doing well. Okay, so how do you see this shaping Nigeria's digital education ecosystem and its global impact?
Mm. So I would say that now what you're asking me is the digital world and how it has shaped educators in
Yes, Africa,
Nigeria.
Nigeria is actually leading when it comes to Africa. It's leading the continent. Talking about ed tech initiatives, Nigeria is leading at the moment. So I am asking that, how do you see this shaping Nigeria's digital education? We still have the classrooms every day, and all of that, and we are still struggling a bit with, the virtual classes and all of that. But with this information, data showing that Nigeria is leading when it comes to Africa continent, I am asking, how do you see this improving the digital platform, learning platform for Nigeria?
Learning platform. So I think it's in education sector. I think we are growing, and that's the truth. There are a lot of schools that are incorporating digital devices into learning platforms. Even the state schools are doing same. Yeah, state schools are doing same. That a lot of state schools that have devices for children as we speak. I don't know about other states, but I can tell for, oh, I don't want to call names, but I can tell for Lagos States, because when I was doing my dissertation, I had to do interviews, and then I heard that, oh, so I was aware that, oh, we have tablets for the children. It might not go around, it might not be enough. So, but I think we are growing. I think we'll get there. And there are a lot of teachers who are taking time out, they are struggling, they are, working so hard to improve themselves in digital devices. They are improving. So there are a lot of training. If you go online, you see that a lot of education body doing training for teachers on how to use different apps, on how to use different gadgets, on how to teach online. I think we are growing. I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there. It's a gradual thing, but I think we are doing amazing. Will I put a percentage to it? No, but I think most Nigerian teachers are because an average Nigerian teacher teaches online.
Mm.
An average
Okay.
Nigerian teacher teaches online, probably as a side hustle or something. So I think it's just a matter of time. Give it time, we'll take the space.
All right. So, lastly, I just wanted to share your thought on this. What do you see as the long-term role of Nigeria's diaspora educators in shaping global learning space?
Oh dear. But I would say, well, no, I said oh dear because a lot of Nigerian teachers are, we have talented, we have professional teachers, we have teachers who are doing really well in the UK, even in a physical classroom. So what I would say is in years to come, it's not long. In 5 years from now, you would see Nigerians taking over the space of learning. It's just a matter of time, a matter of understanding the curriculum. Why do Nigerians in diaspora, look for teachers back in Nigeria to teach their children? Even though, yeah, some may understand the curriculum, some may not understand the curriculum, but because we are fighters, we are go-getters, we are, will I say, we are innovators. We want to know. We are curious. And every Nigerian is curious. We want to learn more. So just give it time. In the next, say, 5 years from now, you will see. Because even in a physical classroom, Nigerians are beginning to go into the classroom, and it just takes. I know that there might be challenges here and there, but in the digital world, give it 5 years from now, across board in all, when I mean across board, from the primary to the high school to college, you will see digital products, Nigerian digital products flying out there.
Okay. Um, I want to say thank you very much, Joke Oyadairo. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your contribution. Like I mentioned earlier,
Thank you for
that
having
I
me.
hope that a lot of people are just they've come together to get more awareness, around this topic. And I'm sure that you've been able to share some of this information. And what we probably don't know, or that we were thinking the other way around, you've been able to shed some light, to it. And I want to say thank you. We should have you again soon to talk about parenting
Oh,
in the
that will be good.
diaspora. Yes, I'll get in touch. I'll get in touch. Once again, I say thank you and have a beautiful
Thank
day,
you
Joke.
for
Thank
having
you.
me, Grace. Thank
Thank you.
you.